Hi and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to have a look at all of the books I've read in April and chat a little bit about all the books I want to read in May. I know this video will be posted a little bit later, like already somewhere along into May, because I accidentally posted my Fairy Loot unboxing video first, which should have actually been this video, but oh well. Let's get into the actual video. So the first book I read in April was Ruthless Fae, the second book in the Zodiac Academy series. I can't tell you that much about like the content into this book because it actually is the second book in the series, but I just absolutely love the aspect of like them getting revenge and stuff. It was so fun. Though I did like this a little bit less than the first book, so I ended up rating this 4 stars, but overall still a very fun book. Secondly, I think I listened to Regretting You by Colleen Hoover, and I ended up rating this 3 stars, which was kind of surprising because I didn't really like the start of the book. It was like at the 30% mark into the book that I was actually contemplating on DNFing it. But because I was listening to it on audio, it was like easier to like just consume the book and just go on with it. At the 50% mark, it was actually picking up a little bit more of the pace and it started to get a bit more interesting. Though I didn't really like almost any of the characters. Some were fine, but I didn't really like the characters themselves or their actions. It was more that it was getting interesting because of the drama, which I liked. But yeah, the rest of it, not so much. I think the ending was cute though, and that's mainly also why I ended up rating it 3 stars. After Regretting You, I went and read Flawless, the first book in the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver. It was really fun. I think I rated it 3.5 stars at the time, but after thinking a bit more about it, I think I actually would give it about a 3 stars. It was like a cowboy romance, a really popular one, and I really wanted to try it out. And I know a lot of people didn't really enjoy the first one that much, like the books get better. So overall, it was okay. The characters were okay, kind of fine as well. And there were some cute scenes, like how he didn't like milk, even though he was like this cowboy rodeo type of guy. And I don't know, it was just cute, funny. But yeah, the characters weren't that spectacular story-wise. Also, not really my opinion, but it was a fun and quick, easy read. Then I read As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson, the last book in the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, and I ended up rating this 4 stars. I did really enjoy this book, though the other books in the series all got 5 stars. This book was like split into 2 parts, and I really enjoyed the first part. It was so creepy and way scarier in my opinion as the first 2 books, and I really enjoyed it. But the second half was like a totally different type of story, and it was fine, but nothing that fast paced in my opinion anymore. And usually with these type of thriller books, I'm at the edge of my seat the whole time, but the second half not that much. And I heard like amazing things about the ending, and people were really raving about it, but I didn't really enjoy the ending. I thought it was kind of mediocre, and I was sad to see it have such an ending for like an amazing story overall. Still, I would really recommend this book and the whole series as it is, because it is really good, but just a few teeny bits that could have been done differently in my opinion. Next, I read Heartless, the second book in the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver on my Kindle as well, and I ended up rating this 4 stars. There are not that many romance books that I actually rate 4 stars or up, so I really enjoyed this one. It was quite spicy, but I really liked that the couple didn't get together like before the 50% mark, which you see a lot with these types of books, I think. And I also really liked the tension between these two characters. And I didn't think I would like the single dad trope, but I did. I really, really liked it. I also just really liked Willa and Kate together. They were just really fun and cute characters. And overall, it was just really, really fun. Also very fast paced. And yeah, it made me a little bit more excited for the rest of the Chestnut Springs series. Then I listened to Do You Remember by Frida McFadden, another thriller book, and I really, really enjoyed this one. I ended up rating it 3.5 stars, and it didn't get like this amazing rating, mostly because I didn't really like the ending. It just felt really weird. But the premise of the thriller itself was really intriguing in my opinion, because I've listened to a lot of Frida McFadden's thrillers by now, and like the concept is usually a little bit the same, not entirely of course, but this was really, really different from all of her other books. I think it's about this woman who wakes up almost every day without like her memories, so she doesn't really know who she is, who her partner is, and all these type of stuff. And somehow she finds some clue in the house which leads her to believe there's something wrong. I think that's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to spoil any of the book itself. But it was a really nice premise, and yeah, some people complained about it being like really repetitive, because yeah, some things happened every day, and yeah, you're following her every day and about how she like doesn't remember anything anymore. But in my opinion, I really enjoyed it. It might be because I have listened to it, but yeah, it might have been really fun. 3.5 stars. After that one, I listened to Cruel Winter with You by Ellie Hazelwood. This was a short story book, and I think the listen time was like an hour, maybe 2. I think something along those lines. And I ended up rating this 2 stars. I didn't really enjoy this much, because normally I really like how silly and goofy Ellie Hazelwood's romance books are, but I didn't really get this feeling with this one. And there also, in my opinion, weren't that many like cute romance scenes, which I really enjoy in a romance. So yeah, that's mainly why I ended up rating this 2 stars. I think it just wasn't for me. Then I read The Reckoning, the 3rd book in the Zodiac Academy series, and I ended up rating this one 5 stars. I think this was my favorite read of last month. I really enjoyed this so much. I especially really liked like some type of bond that was created between 2 of the characters in this book. It was so cute and so funny, and I also liked where the romance was kind of going in this book. And I think just some of the drama things that happened were just so intriguing. And I don't know, sometimes I actually had to put the book down because it just was getting too much. It was so good. I can't tell you anything about the story because it's like the 3rd book in the series, but I just love this. Next, I read Shadow and Bone for the 2nd time. I listened to it on audio the first time and rated it 3 stars. Afterwards, I watched the 1st season of Shadow and Bone, and I really enjoyed that. But I kind of felt like I was missing some things of the book, so I decided to give it a reread. And still a 3 stars for me. Overall, it was fine, but it was a little bit slow paced in my opinion. And especially like seeing all of the elements of Six of Crows get wrapped into the same story in the Netflix adaptation. I think the Six of Crow parts in the series were really fast paced, and especially with that not being in this book, it made it extra like slow paced. But overall, there were some things in this book which was really nice, like the Darkling itself. I didn't really like him in the series, but I did really enjoy him in the first part of this book. So overall, the book itself was fine, but I think if I've only read this one, I might have given up on the series at this point. But like seeing the series and knowing where it will go, I am of course going to continue it. But yeah, in my opinion, I don't think this is her best work, but I also think this was like one of her first works. So then I read Powerless by Lauren Roberts. and I sadly ended up rating this book 2 stars. I had my hopes up really high for this book. I had really high expectations. And the story itself, in my opinion, is great. I'm still thinking a lot about the story and where it will go and stuff. But I think it was mostly the writing for me that was just not for me. It somehow felt mostly like she was trying to write really poetic in like a weird way, which every time when I read these type of sentences, it just took me out of the story. It was a little bit weird. And also, I don't know, the banter between the FMC and the MMC was a little bit much, in my opinion, especially from the beginning. And I think it also felt really insta-lovey because it should be like some kind of enemies to lovers type of situation, but you can tell from the beginning that they actually already like each other. So I don't know. I also didn't really love that part about this. I'm still contemplating on continuing the series. I'm just not sure, especially because of the writing, but I'm really interested about the story, so I do want to know what's going to happen, but I'm really, really not sure. And then last but not least, I read the Toilet Bound Hanako-kun Volume 0. I just wanted to get back a little bit more into manga, so I picked this up because, yeah, I've read, I think, volume 1 to 19 of the series, and this is like, let's see, it is the origin of Aildoro's masterpiece when it originally was published as a self-contained short series, and you can read those 3 chapters here along with Aildoro's debut work, My Dear Living Dead. And I think I mainly didn't really enjoy this one that much because the 3 short stories are really similar to like the first volume of the manga itself. There were some differences, but yeah, I guess the concept is cool of knowing what initially they wrote, I think. I think there are 2 people behind the manga. But yeah, it wasn't interesting enough to like read again, but I really, really enjoyed the My Dear Living Dead volume, so that was really cool. But that's mainly why I ended up bringing this 3 stars, because I didn't really like the short stories. Those are all of the 11 books I read in April. I had a decent month overall, I think, and I already thought about some books that I actually want to read this May. I'm not going to make a really extensive big TBR because I'm more in the mood of mood reading lately, so there are some options that I really want to get to, but not that many. For manga, I'm thinking on reading Platinum End. I only put volume 1 on my TBR just to see how it goes, because I want to read some more manga, as I've gotten quite a big manga TBR at this point. And I picked up this one because I'm actually watching Death Note right now with my boyfriend. And this is by the same mangaka as Death Note. And like, I think the art style is quite similar and I really like that. But I don't know anything about this story. But I am really intrigued to see more of his work. So then we have my current read, Quicksilver. I'm already like 200 pages into this one, so I'm sure I'll be finishing this up in May. So Quicksilver is about Ceres. Ceres Fane is good at keeping secrets. No one knows about the powers she possesses or the fact that she has been stealing from the Undying Queen's reservoirs for as long as she can remember. But a secret is like a nut. Sooner or later it is bound to come undone. When Ceres comes face to face with Death himself, she inadvertently reopens a gateway between realms and is transported to Ivelia, a land of ice and snow. The Fae have always been the stuff of myth, of legend, of nightmares, but it turns out they're real, and Ceres has landed in the center of a centuries-long conflict that might just get her killed. The first of her kind to enter Ivelia in over 1,000 years, Ceres mistakenly binds herself to Kingfisher, a handsome Fae warrior with an agenda of his own. He will use her powers to protect his people, no matter what it costs him or her. Death has a name. It is Kingfisher of Iron Gate. His past is murky, his attitude stinks, and he's the only way Ceres is going to make it home. So this is, I think, like a classic romance. I think it's like a darker type of story, but so far I'm really enjoying it, but I'm going to keep my thoughts for the next wrap up. And then I want to finish up the Shadow and Bone trilogy by reading Siege and Storm and Ruin and Rising, the second and the third book in the Shadow and Bone series. And then I also still in May want to read Demon in the Wood. This is the graphic novel that's a part of the Shadow and Bone trilogy, and I think this follows the backstory of the Darkling. And lastly, I'm going to finish up Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, which I'm currently reading on audio. It's my book club pick for May, so I will be finishing this one up in May. But that's all for my TBR, so 6 picks for May, which I'm sure I'll be finishing. But I don't want to make my TBR that long because I do really like to mood read, so I'm just keeping it at these 6. But I think that concludes most of the video. Thank you so much for being here. And if you'd like to see more of me, don't forget to subscribe, and I hope I'll see you next time. Bye!